Alright, my friends, so it's time for us to put everything that we have learned together, and I'm gonna show you how to combine the things that we have learned up to this point and implementing a very simple example. And the thing that we are gonna use, it is the ternary operator, arrays, objects, the template literals, and we are gonna see how we can concatenate stuff. And also I'm gonna show you another thing. Okay, so what I will do, first of all, I'm gonna switch back to the users module, which is essentially the module that we have created previously, and we can see that we have all these items. Okay, and essentially we are exporting an array of users that contain several objects. Okay, now feel free to pause the video that if you want to write it down. If you do not have it, essentially go ahead and create a new file, call it whatever you want, and here you can implement this logic right here. Going back to our app.js, the first thing first I'm gonna do, I'm gonna import the users array right from our users module. This is something that we have did previously, right? Now here inside my app function, what I will do, I'm gonna return something, right? So the first thing first, the challenge here, if the array right here, if the users array is empty, then I'm gonna return for the users no items found. Otherwise, I'm gonna loop through all these items and render them to the screen, right? So this is the challenge. If you think that you can do it, pause the video, feel free to implement your own solution. I'm gonna show you my solution right now, right? So what I will do, first of all, I'm gonna return something, but before I return anything, I wanna check which way I'm gonna follow, which is either the array is empty or it's not empty. So I'm gonna use the ternary operator. I'm gonna type users dot length. If the length of the array triple equal to 0, that means it's an empty. If it's empty, then I'm gonna return a div, and inside it I'm just gonna type no items found, right, like so. Otherwise, of course, you could write the code right here for looping through your items. In my case, I'm not gonna do that because it's gonna make it a bit ugly or unreadable. But of course you can type, or let me show you both of solutions. First of all, we are gonna write it right here, and another solution is to extract the logic in another function. So I'm gonna type users.map. Okay, we are gonna map through our users array if it's not an empty, and for each property or for each object in that array, I'm gonna give it the item parameter, and for this parameter I'm gonna execute a function, an arrow function. I'm gonna return from this thing right here a JSX expression. So we are gonna return a JSX inside a JSX, and here I'm gonna create an h1 to hold the name. Okay, so I'm gonna type item.name and another b tag, and we are gonna get an error. Do not worry, I'm gonna fix it. So I'm gonna type item.job and another one which will be the item dot, we have the age, right? So as you can see, we have rendered all these items, but we have a problem. Okay, we can read it directly here in the console. Okay, now the problem here is that what we want to do, we want to first wrap all these items, because as you already know, we are not allowed only to return from any JSX expression to only to return one element, and here we are returning 3 elements. So we want to surround them with a container tag. Okay, so what I will do, I'm gonna hold and select all these 3 items. Okay, I'm gonna click on Command Shift and P on your keyboard. So first of all, select all these 3 items and click on Command Shift and P on your keyboard. And if you are a Windows user, feel free to click on Control Shift and P. I'm gonna click that, and this window will pop up. I want you to search for wrap with abbreviation. Okay, we have it right here, and essentially we are going to use this thing right here in order for us to surround these items with a div. Okay, so here we have it. I'm going to click on it, and this box will pop up, and essentially I'm just gonna write the element that I want to surround these items for me, and I have wrote a div. I'm gonna click on enter. We have a div that now surround all these items, and we no longer get an error on the console, right? So we have did our job successfully. Now if we switch back to the browser, we can see all these items being rendered successfully. Why? Because the array has some items. Now what I will do, I will come back here to my array, and I am going to comment out all these items. I'm gonna make them, I'm gonna make my array empty. So we can go back, we can see no items found. So our code work perfectly. This is really great. Now going back, of course I will uncomment all these items. And here I have promised you that I'm going to show you how to take the code of rendering our items in a separate function. To do so, here inside my function app, I'm going to create another function. Okay, so I'm going to create a function called render items. Now usually what I will do, I will create separate module for these functions, for the utility functions or things like that. Of course, I'm not gonna explain in depth right now where to put what is the right place for adding your code, for adding your function, for adding all this kind of stuff. This will come later on when we are gonna talk about the best practices and so on. For the time being, this is a quick solution. Okay, create a function, call it render items, and here I'm gonna take the looping logic, which is from the users all the way to I think here, right? So let me check that. I'm gonna take this thing right here all the way to here. Okay, I'm gonna cut it, Command and X or Control and X, and paste it here inside my function. Okay, but before doing so, let me paste it here. As you can see, we have let's say pasted the code, but before pasted, what we want to do, we want to return this thing right here, which will be our code. Now here what I will do, I will just call the function. So I'm gonna type render items like so, and you should be good to go. So we have just cut the code and return it, because pasting the code inside the function doesn't do anything. We want to return it. Okay, so once this function get called, we are gonna return this thing right here, which should render all these items for us. This is really great. Now coming, for example, what I will do, I'm gonna maybe pause the video right now, but it is not the end of this example, because we want to add the concatenation, if you remember that. So here maybe we are gonna continue, or if you want it as a challenge for you to skip this video, what I want you to do, I want you to here the age says, for example, not only show the age, because it doesn't make sense for me to see a number right here. I want you to make the code, for example, says item.age, then years old. Okay, and here is the solution. I'm gonna surround this thing right here with a backticks. Oops, not number one, but a backticks like so. And here this is a dynamic value. Okay, because we are getting it from outside. This is a dynamic value. So what I need to do, I need to add a $sign, then I add my brackets around it like so. So this will be executed as a dynamic value. After that, I'm gonna type years old. So years old like so. And if we switch back to the web browser, we can see years old, and now this number makes sense for me. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you can combine all these features together. Now this is maybe a very silly example, because we haven't implemented any very complicated code. But if you take a deeper look to what we have did in this example, we have talked about export, we have talked about arrays, objects, concatenation, ternary operators, loop using the map, and all sorts of things. So as you can see, we have talked about maybe all the AS6 features. Of course, not all of them, because we have the rest and we have the spread operator and so on. But hopefully that this example convey the idea. In the next few videos, we are going to talk about more advanced stuff where I'm going to show you how to deal with Boolean inside objects with these types of things. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, my friends, so much for watching. Really appreciate your time and see you in another one.